Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining tonight. And as always, I am pretty excited about tonight's conversation and tonight's guest. Tonight, we are offering you another opportunity to get to know a little more about one of our high-profile and dynamic candidates in the state of Oklahoma. If you're new to these weekly conversations, welcome to the family. Yes, I call you family. We're excited that you found your way here. Now, if you have missed any of the previous conversations, you can find them on my YouTube channel. Just jump over to YouTube and look up Conversations with Cubit. And when you get there, be sure to subscribe. Then you can browse some of our past conversations. But right now, we are streaming live. So I need you to do me a big favor and share tonight's conversation. That's right. Don't keep this conversation to yourself. We want as many people to join this conversation live as possible. You absolutely got to share this with your community. This is important. So hit the share button and start a watch party right now. I got to give a special thanks and shout out to Green Pasture Studios for hosting tonight's conversation as they host weekly. My friends Richard and Amy James are running things out here in Spencer, Oklahoma, and I love all the things they are doing out here. Everything from full-fledged movie production, commercials, and they even have a training academy out here. In fact, we happen to be broadcasting from one of their elaborate set designs. Either that or we stepped back in time machine or something and we landed somewhere in the 1970s or 80s, if you can look around. But anyway, I have watched them work on movies out here, and it is incredible to watch the movie production process happening right here in Oklahoma City. Look them up. You'll be glad you did. Now, as you know, I only have 3 simple goals for hosting these weekly conversations. 1 is I want to add value to people in my community. 2, I want to inspire you to believe in what people and communities can become when we're willing to work together. And 3, love people, period, no strings attached. All that means is I want you to be inspired. I want you to get useful information and resources. And I want to celebrate individuals, groups, and organizations who are making a positive impact on our community. Every conversation will be about information, inspiration, and hope. So let's get started. My guest tonight is none other than Senator Connie Johnson. And she has bravely decided to run for governor for the great state of Oklahoma. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She was born in Holdenville, Oklahoma, but has lived in Oklahoma City since she was 6 years old. She graduated as a top student from Frederick A. Douglass High School in Oklahoma City and earned a full scholarship to the University of Pennsylvania. She graduated with a BA in French and completed coursework towards a master's degree in education and has also earned a master's in rehabilitation counseling from the Langston University. Connie is a lifelong Democrat, and in 2005, Senate District 48 voters elected Connie as the 4th person to serve the district after 24 years as a Senate policy analyst. In the state Senate, Connie fought passionately for criminal justice, sentencing, and prison reform. She fought to protect women's reproductive health rights, and to provide equal access to government contracts. Senator Johnson introduced Oklahoma's first ever medical cannabis bill in 2007. And although that legislation was met with tons of resistance, both legislatively and from the public, she reintroduced that bill every session during her tenure. Well, in 2018, the people of Oklahoma overwhelmingly approved medical cannabis legislation, and they legalized it. Connie has more than 40 years in public service, and we could spend hours going over her very impressive body of work with the Democratic Party and community service. Connie lives in Forest Park. She's a neighbor of mine. She is the mother of 3 adult children and a grandmother to 2 granddaughters and 1 grandson. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so honored that she decided to join me tonight. Please help me welcome my friend and neighbor, Senator Connie Johnson.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
You've been trotting all over the state, I know.
Absolutely.
So take a chill pill in the 80s and the 70s on the couch here. Just remind you of something.
This is amazing that this studio is here in our community.
Oh, man.
And the opportunities that exist in the film industry are just off the chart.
And I know you know a lot about that.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
There's some incentives going on.
So I'm tickled to be here.
This is so good.
In the real. And you know, who would ever imagine this is how it really looks? This really looks like somebody's living room.
This was somebody's living room. In fact, I think I grew up in something. Did they take a picture of they must have looked at some Polaroids of mine.
This couch for sure.
Listen, okay.
I'm just happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you took some time. I know you're very, very busy, but this is important,
Yes.
and people want to know who our candidates are, and I want to introduce them to them. But I have this little thing that I like to do because I don't really need to ask all the high-profile questions.
Okay.
I mean, I know you're going to give us your platform and all that,
Okay.
but I really don't have 15 questions.
Okay.
That seals the deal for me. I know where we align after these 15 questions.
Oh.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, nobody else might not, but for me,
Okay.
this is for me. This ain't for them. They ain't even here.
Okay.
I just want to know. You just pick one or the other. That's it.
This is scary.
I know it's scary. You don't know what's coming.
Okay.
So I have my list here. Which would you have? Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Oh, see, we on page. We on page. We already hitting it off.
Okay.
Truck or car?
Car.
Car.
Can I change? SUV.
That's in the middle.
That's a truck.
That's in the middle.
That's
It's a truck.
It doubles for a truck.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
I'm a
yeah,
truck
truck,
chassis.
not a car.
Okay.
Okay.
We're back on page. We're
Okay.
back together. Phone call or text message? You like to talk, but you ain't got time, so you'd rather have a text.
I gotta say both.
You can't say, but okay. All right.
Phone
Birthday
call.
what-
Phone call.
Phone call.
If I had to decide, a phone call. Anymore, and phone calls versus even going to see somebody, right?
Yes.
We just quick,
Yes.
fast, in a
Yeah.
hurry. So.
I rather talk, but the text message is very convenient.
Yeah.
Very convenient. But
But phone call is personal,
that's right.
and text messages you can lose the intent.
Oh, for sure.
Okay then.
For sure. I get it.
I'd rather call somebody else and say,
How about a birthday party or wedding? Which were you going to be?
damn, birthday party.
Birthday party. Okay. All right. Handshake or hug?
For me, right?
It's your choice. Your
Yeah,
choice.
a birthday party.
Oh, you don't want to go to the wedding's not for you. You just
Oh, just go to a birthday party.
Either- yeah.
See, I was having some issues, right?
yeah.
Birthday parties.
Birthday still.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weddings can be depressing.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, they're not. They're
Well,
not.
they're special.
Handshake or hug? Are you a handshake person or a hug person?
I'm a handshaker.
Handshake. Will we catch you more likely at a scary movie or a comedy?
Comedy.
Comedy, okay. What's more frustrating for you to do, laundry or washing dishes?
Washing dishes. I love doing laundry.
I can't stand the laundry.
Laundry's
Okay.
my
okay.
therapy.
Yeah, I don't mind. Somebody else got to fold and put them up, but I don't want.
Yeah,
I don't
now
wanna do all that.
I'm just gonna wash them.
Okay.
Right.
Somebody
Y'all
else-
have to fold.
Well, that's
They
why.
can sit
That's
there
part
for
of the
2
laundry.
months.
My mother
No,
would
they
tell
can
you.
sit there for 2 months.
No, you ain't done no laundry
Look,
then.
Look,
You
I
haven't
got
done
them
laundry.
out the hamper.
Yeah.
I sorted them. I put them in the washing machine. Then I put them in the dryer. The least you can do is fold them.
No, you just wash clothes.
And all I
If
ask,
you don't fold them, you haven't done laundry.
all I ask is that you pull your clothes off on the right side. If you want to get real.
Everybody got to do their part.
I'm a laundress.
Okay.
Okay.
Frontier City. Would we catch you at Frontier City or at the zoo? Most likely.
Zoo.
The zoo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're home alone by yourself. Are we gonna catch you singing or dancing?
Singing.
Singing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Just today, I know this can change from day to day, but for today, Leo's or Bob Davis?
They serve 2 different things.
Yes, today. So I know.
Oh.
So I'm not saying all the time.
Okay. Bob Davis.
Bob Davis is today. Okay. Going out of town,
Or
you rather
Davis Fish, whatever the name
Yeah,
is
that's
now.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Going out of town, you rather drive or fly?
Fly.
Fly.
But I'm a road runner.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. You're not flying over. You're driving all over the state. I get that. You gotta side with somebody here. I know it's gonna be tough. You gotta
Okay.
side with somebody. Will Smith or Chris Rock?
Oh, God.
I got you.
Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. Okay.
You can make a case for
Will
either one. I
Smith.
know, but
Yeah. Can I pass?
you gonna pass? No, because you want to pass. I can't let you pass because I need to know now. I'm curious what's going through your head now. And you can even have a couple of minutes to explain why you picked who you picked.
Sure. Dang.
I thought these up. No, I'm gonna blame it on them.
So, Chris Rock.
Chris Rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was professional. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
after
gonna talk-
all was said and done, he maintained. He might have precipitated some things, but he maintained his composure.
That mouth of his.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that's a whole discussion. You can do a
that's
whole show
nother
about
story.
that.
Yes.
We can do a whole
and
show.
Jada's role.
Yeah, all of that.
I've heard it all.
And what she didn't do, or
yes,
what she did.
or should have done.
Yeah, should have done. Yes, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's controversial.
Now, I've noticed your kicks here. So, do you call those sneakers or tennis shoes?
Tennis shoes.
Yeah. Okay. You were ready for that one. Ocean view or mountain view?
These are hard.
I'm good. I mean, I sit around and think about these things. That's all I do. Just think.
Ocean.
Ocean view. All right. Last but not least, pop or soda? What do you call it?
Pop.
It's pop.
Mine for you.
All day long.
Mine for you. Science or art?
Science or art? Science for sure.
Okay.
Well, I enjoy art, but I can't. But I look at some things and they call that art? They call that art?
Okay.
That's a mess. That's what I say sometimes. So I have to go with science because what people call art, I call a mess sometimes.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah,
that was my one.
That's good.
Okay.
You're the first one to ask me one, so
Yeah,
that's good. You set a record.
That one
here.
stumped me at one point.
Thanks for playing my silly games.
Hey, thanks for challenging me. Wow.
You're
This
not
is
the
when
only
you
one.
really have to be open.
Everybody's going to get that. So
You have to be transparent. You have to be vulnerable.
Yes,
to answer.
everybody has a choice to make, and
Yeah.
these are choices we
Yeah.
make. These are choices
Okay.
we make.
All right.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Tell me. You've been doing this for 40 years. You've been doing public service for 40 years. You're chilling over there doing Forest Park things, and all of a sudden, you're back in it in a big way. You're back running for governor. Can you tell us why? Why? It's such a gruel. And I did a small campaign. This
Okay.
is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that.
And it's not all of a sudden.
Obviously, it's 40 years.
Literally, I left the Senate in 2014 to run for the U.S. Senate.
That's right.
Right. I didn't finish my Senate term. I had 3 more years. But because I left, it corrected the terms, right? 'Cause
Okay.
Angela Munson had left on 1 year on of an unexpired term. Term limits required 12 years. I had 9 years. I could have only served 3 more years.
Okay.
So when I left, it righted the system, so Anastasia came in and served a full 4 years. Right?
Okay.
But when I left, I didn't retire. They didn't give me a retirement party.
Okay.
And I noticed that. I'm like, aren't y'all gonna miss me or anything?
Yeah.
We not been together 33 years, right? But I ran and learned a lot that I'll share later today. But I ran in 2018 for governor, and there was some extenuating circumstances that, made a difference in our ability to campaign. The main one being my mom was dying, and I was taking care of her for like a year and a half into that campaign. And God knows I wouldn't do it for anybody but my mother. And so when I left that primary, I went home to take care of my mom until she passed away. And so I've never stopped.
Yeah.
Even taking care of my mom, I did stop for a year. I had been in this field nonstop for 35 years. And the only thing that stopped me was taking care of my mother. So after she passed, I felt I needed a break. So I took a break. I chilled out, didn't go, didn't do, didn't see. In the meantime, remember, my issue was taking off, medical cannabis.
Right.
The same year, right? Well, medical cannabis made the difference in my mom's passing. And that's why I'm a born-again believer in this advocacy that can help our community on several levels, as entrepreneurs, as improved health outcomes, and less incarceration, right? So my advocacy for that issue really made a difference in my own life. And I've had that experience throughout my career. Many of the issues I've been privileged to work on, I've experienced in my life. I was a foster parent, for example. I wrote, and as a result, I created law that provided that foster parents who worked would get daycare payments. Otherwise, the total foster care payment was going to pay for daycare, which was mandated, right? But nursing home care, my dad was in a nursing home. He was a dialysis patient. The whole spectrum, from life to death, I've had a chance to write about, but I've also had a chance to experience, so I have real-time experiences to go into my writing. And so that cannabis policy, and my mom, and I took off for a year, literally a year. I came back in December of 2019, started doing some things to advocate about patients in the cannabis space, because that was my baby. We held a patient drive at the Capitol, where we brought in patients and we told them about the legislative process and how important it is that their vote be for people who support their issue, right? We told them about the strategy of applying to vote by mail, and we got all these people signed up. And we gave out 300 medical recommendations that day. The crazy part is, we were doing it at the Capitol because I felt, okay, the black people would come and take advantage of these free medical recommendations. It was people coming from Goldie Bow, Guyman, everybody but the East Side. It's just the way it is. We have a ways to go to educate our community about that plant that God put here. God put it here.
I remember you giving me an education. You remember us talking about
Yes,
it?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I guess we were at a forum together.
Yes.
And
we were kind of on.
No, we were on opposite sides.
Yes,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, we were on opposite
Okay.
sides. And
I
but
love
you
it.
were so gracious in dealing with a cop.
Yes,
A cop who
yes.
loves his community,
Yes.
who has arrested tons of people and saw drugs full blown.
Wait.
Drug. Yeah,
for
I know where you're
marijuana?
going.
Okay.
I know where you're going.
No. Verify that, in fact, a lot of people were being arrested in our community for simple possession of marijuana.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
Okay, then.
Yeah, but
That's what I based it all on.
and I was saying I'm okay with simple possession. But I was saying the connection, then the connection to the other stuff. I was on the and not for us to debate today, because
Yeah,
we can still
the gateway
but
drug
the gateway
line.
drug. I was
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
where I
yeah.
was that day.
Yeah.
For sure.
What did we say? What did we conclude? What did I offer you? Because I'm going to still say the same thing.
Well, probably. I follow you.
Okay.
Follow you. I already know. That's why I said we don't need to go there, because I know
Okay.
we can go all day long.
But it's
about
important. You know why?
Yeah.
Because I've been told that my opponent is going in the black churches telling people that I support a gateway drug.
This. Yeah. Well, then you need to address it then.
And the reality is, and I told this lady, she said, my 13-year-old, something, he's getting this weed from somebody. I said, yeah, but did he just start smoking at 13? No, he's been smoking a long time. Well, he's smoking, right? Right? The reality is, as long as it's illegal, people go get it in the places where all the other things are. And so therefore, they're going to want to go try the next best thing. It's like if you go into a candy store and you buy candy, and then the next day they have German chocolate cakes in there and banana cream pies, right? Sure, you're going to want to try. Legalizing it takes it out of that setting. Now, we can talk further, but I'm not for right out adult legalization yet, because our medical program has yet to be perfected. We still need to look at scope of practice guidelines for practitioners. End-of-life care nurses want to know about this. People in nursing homes want to know about this. It's taking people off of opioids. My mom, she didn't want to be loopy in the brain. She didn't want to have all the side effects of the opioids. She didn't. I gave her an oil 2 times a day and a brownie with her tea, and my mom just was calm, right? My mom was never going to sit, walk, or stand again. But with cannabis, she started moving her legs off the bed. Cannabis responds to the endocannabinoid system in our bodies that was only discovered in the late 80s, early 90s. They don't even teach about it in medical school. For it to be the network that governs our whole body, and this plant named canna to correspond to that network, that's a world of research and science that the United States has yet to benefit from, although Israel has. So here, my reality is, it is not a gateway drug. It literally is the drug that gets people off of the other drugs.
The important thing that you said there, I think, there's tons of important things you said there, but one of the things that really stick out to me is that Connie Johnson is not for legalization of just just plain old usage. You know,
I'm for introduction of that at the end or as a part of the perfection of our medical law. We need insurance coverage for cannabis. We need recycling programs for cannabis receptacles, right? I wonder if you went up there on that hill, how many little plastic things you would see, right? But banking, we need banking guidelines. There's a lot of money in this business. And right now, people have to keep their money in safes and other crazy things. There are a few banks out there that are dealing with it. The biggest piece is still incarceration. So, you know, we had the law where we eliminated the punishment for simple possession of any drug, right? I know it's controversial, but the people said they wanted it, right? It was one of several issues that I introduced in legislation that the legislature refused to do, that the people subsequently had to decide. One was getting the governor out of the parole process for nonviolent crimes. The next two were 780 and 781, and then 788. And I was an advocate for 802, Medicaid expansion. I was still in the legislature when that opportunity came, and the state of Oklahoma refused to use our tax dollars to improve the health care of Oklahomans. So the people passed it, 57%, right? And with that in mind, the people just have said, we want something different.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's move into your priorities then. So the priorities for your campaign coming into the primary is going to be some of the issues you just spoke about, but what are the others?
Well, not in that order.
Right.
As my friend Peachy would say, the mainest thing is education.
Yeah.
Appropriate, competent, social, emotional, addressing the social, emotional needs as well as academic needs of children in grades 0 through 12, right? There's issues right now, given the pandemic, given that our children were already underperforming in low-performing schools. I contend by design. You know, we could go into the history of what happened to the schools on the east side under the urban renewal and the school board and all of that. But our education systems have to deal with kids on a different level now. And right now, kids who can't read by 3rd grade, there's a prison bed for them. So we've got our kids in the school to prison pipeline. And you remember how it happened. We were at the Capitol that year when they passed the bill that allowed any person on a campus of authority, it could be a cafeteria worker, the bus driver, the counselor, who noticed a kid exhibiting gang signs or wearing gang paraphernalia, could report that child to the gang task force. The child's name went in a database, right? And in the summertime, say the kid gets in trouble walking down the street, gets accosted, they look him up, he's already in the database, that's strike 2. That's what we put in place with that legislation. The pipeline is real. Now we have generational incarceration. When I started my campaign in 2005, it was because grandparents were raising grandchildren because the parents were in prison, mostly, right? 60% of the kids in Millwood in the year 2000 were being raised by their grandparents. Fast forward to 2017, 87% of the kids at Frederick A. Douglass High School had one or more parent who had been in prison. This is the reality of the scourge on our community of incarceration. And it's incarceration by design in order to fill a 98% private prison bed occupancy guarantee. And that contract is renewed every 4 years. Those providers then contribute to campaigns like Mary Fallon's and former Appropriations Chair Clark Jolly to get them to pass even more and more egregious sentencing schemes. 5 key sentencing schemes went in place in the late 80s and early 90s when we privatized prisons. One was consecutive concurrent sentencing, 3 strikes you're out, mandatory minimums, civil asset forfeiture. There's like 5 egregious 85% crimes. I can't remember them all the time. But these things were put in place specifically to ensure that people went to jail, and disproportionately black and brown people.
How do you lead us to change? What's the solution? Lead us to the solution. What does that look like?
The solution deals with the reality that, first of all, it's no longer illegal to possess cannabis, right? I was going to tell you the reaction of law enforcement once we decriminalized simple possession was to now tack on with intent. So it took it back to a felony. The criminal legal system, I think, is the key to fixing this system. It is predicated on these bodies going through there, be it the bail bondsman, be it the public defenders, be it the attorneys, the judges. Everybody is involved in the police are involved in a system that's broken, right? So you're familiar with programs like PACT with Sarah Banner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got involved with former police chief Mike Jan in Midwest City about community policing. And that was a model that he tried back in, over 25 years ago. As a result of it, we put together the Martin Luther King prayer breakfast from Midwest City, where we all came together to do something that we had in common in order to start to understand our differences, right? So policing in communities of color needs to be refocused, and it's not a matter of defunding them. It's reorienting their focus to being more community oriented, to knowing your block and who's on there, and letting people see you and engaging. And people just don't either believe that's an appropriate way to approach policing, or they just refuse to consider. Let's do a pilot program somewhere. Ardmore, for example, has a city policy that's based on trauma. It's a trauma, it identifies trauma.
Trauma-informed.
Trauma-informed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What happened that Susie didn't pay her gas bill? What happened that the water, you know what I'm saying? Instead of just turning it off, go find out what happened. Provide the resources. Families need that kind of care because families are hurting. Mm. Families are suffering economically, emotionally, physically, and there's so much going on. It's not surprising when it just oozes out and all of a sudden explodes. And then that kid takes that to school. We knew a situation, and I'm sorry to talk so long.
No, I'm learning.
We knew a situation at Douglas High School where the kid's mom had been arrested. The police busted in the house, arrested the mom, didn't realize there was 5 kids in the back, right? They left. The next day, the oldest kid got up, dressed all the kids, took them, they all went to school, and he went to school to go be a kid again after having been an adult. Mm-hmm. We had programs to address that reality. The behavioral health specialists who took people aside and helped them redirect, right? Remember that? Mm-hmm. Public Strategies had the program at Douglas, right? All of a sudden, it got replaced by law enforcement.
Well, see, now law enforcement is taking that same issue and doing what we call handle with care. Mm-hmm. So now when you come across a situation where you have to arrest a parent or a caregiver for kids, mm-hmm. those kids are now, the officers now take the information of the kids and report immediately to the school mm-hmm. to say there was an incident that you need to handle these kids with care. Okay. Kind of thing. And then that's when the counselors are coming in and that type of thing. So it doesn't escape. It still doesn't mean that the officers see the kids or recognize the trauma.
Right.
Because what may not be traumatic to the officer may very well be traumatic to the kid.
Yeah. There's so many examples. Let me tell you one good one in legislation. One year, one of my colleagues had a bill that would require police to accompany the Child Protective Services workers to homes, mm-hmm. right? And I kind of objected. I said, ma'am, you don't understand. When the police show up at the Black House, that's not good news. So then the Republicans got mad at me because I had the nerves to question the almighty lady's bill. And they wouldn't hear my bill to require that EpiPens be placed in food arenas, where people have food allergic reactions, to require all of those spaces to have EpiPens. Mm-hmm. They refused to hear that bill. That's that kind of petty. Anyway, so I left the Senate in 2014, and it's been an amazing journey. So my priorities: education, and then increasing access to higher education. Kids coming out with student loans, they can't enjoy what you and I have enjoyed once we came out of college. And we ought to have 2 years of free junior college, right? Because a high school diploma doesn't cut it anymore. And that way people can go to college and then decide to go on to a 4-year setting, or they can get in a tech career and make a lot of money. But we have to revamp our educational system from the perspective of the person and not the system. Right now, the systems are about politicization of education. You know, deciding that you're not going to teach critical race theory. Well, how are you going to teach critical race theory if you teach in history and not teach it, right? That's history. That's what Pastor Cooper told me today. I'm like, you know what? You're right. Just the kinds of political constraints. Trying to take the public education money and put it into private voucher programs. Unheard of. And trying to justify it. So education, infrastructure, investment type jobs, which pay very well. We have the opportunity to redo roads and bridges and ensure that everybody gets a chance at a contract.
We'll talk about everybody.
That was my big issue.
Talk about everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, you talked about, you were dealing with that back in the day.
Long time ago, right? Still the same. The current governor has said he has no concern about equity in the distribution of the infrastructure monies that have come from the federal government. But anyway, those pay good money. Airways, roadways, waterways, internet, broadband, environmental remediation. There are issues, there are ways out there to remediate environmental disasters, and hundreds of environmental disasters happen every day in Oklahoma. We just don't hear about it. But infrastructure jobs have the technical ability now to clean those up. Third, health and mental health, I believe, is a basic right.
Mental health.
Basic. The fact that we refuse to expand Medicaid and we're like 49th in health outcomes, infant mortality, all of that, was just unreal for me. And the people told them, didn't they? It's unreal for us too, and they passed it. I don't care if just 7 counties had the good sense enough to pass it.
Right.
It passed.
Right.
And now we have programs going to find people and let them know they're eligible for Medicaid. Because as long as we didn't, every time an uninsured person went for care, we all paid for it. Now we at least have the benefit of our federal dollars coming back through Medicaid to offset the cost of that. Fourth is criminal justice and criminal legal system reform. And we've talked about that. But the last one is just advocacy for underserved, marginalized group, to be the voice that helps them understand this situation is what it is for you because of voting. That is a key platform for our campaign, and you will not find another candidate out there still beating the bushes talking about guarantee your vote, apply to vote by mail, just apply. Don't use the ballot, just apply. So the uninsured, the unhoused, people with disabilities, children with disabilities, veterans, underserved, marginalized groups can make the difference in any election if they just get it, connect the dots and get it that our votes make the difference. We can win this race because we're going to have that as a platform. Somebody's going to hear it. Somebody's going to, it's that easy. Have you applied to vote by mail?
You made me.
Oh, good.
We
sure did.
Yes, you made me. Yes.
So it's real.
I was already, obviously registered voter. And
right.
But you understood.
You
were on one, sister. You were on one. Yeah,
okay.
You were on one.
I've been on it. That's what I came out of 2014 with, right? That year, only 29% of the people voted. I got 29% of the vote. Amazing, right? Because Mr. Langford had like millions of dollars. I probably raised 10% of that, right? 29% of the vote. That number is significant because when I started working at the Senate, I was 29, right? When I'm elected governor, I'll be the 29th governor. And our minimum contribution we ask is $29, and the maximum is $2,900. Okay, then.
All right,
I put that plug in.
All right, so I got it. I got two more questions. I just have to have you address.
These gonna be tough.
No, they're not tough. I mean, not like pancakes or waffles or anything. Okay. But so the 2020, this state. I know everybody's curious. We know how we went through it. We know that it was unprecedented for every leader. I don't care where they were at. It was decisions had to be made for every leader. I don't care if you were the leader of your own business or you're the leader of a small town police department or the state of Oklahoma. Big decisions had to be made on things that we couldn't have predicted. The pandemic, the social justice, new social justice movement, all of these things. Let us know what you would have done. What would have looked different? And I know this. What could you have done? What did we do right? Where did we miss the mark? What would your leadership? How you would have led us through these moments?
I picked up my paper because I really did want to give you a straightforward answer, and I think in terms of the 2020 and the social justice movement of Julius Jones, we could start with acknowledging our truth. Our truth in Oklahoma is founded in racism. First bill, Senate Bill 1, only repealed in 2008, 101 years later. So acknowledging the reality of that truth, and just, some people may really feel this is a pattern of behavior. And the truth that we have more police custody deaths, we leading the nation in deaths in police custody, right? That's documentable, right?
I don't know if that's right or not. I don't know.
Okay, let's say we number 3.
Okay.
It ain't good. It ain't good, right? Okay. And so that's an issue. Why? So acknowledge our truths, right? Versus being indignant or all hurt and in denial. And then use our power to respond constructively in meaningful ways, right? To have those difficult conversations like we have when we sit around the table with the police people about PAC, right? We know there's a process that works, right? We've seen this process work. Whatever y'all are starting now after that break bread together breakfast is an effort in this process. Those kinds of approaches, I think, can be used throughout this state. But everybody doesn't want to do them, but you cannot deny the truth of that approach. What do we have in common so we can work on what our differences are, right? So in terms of the pandemic, for me, this whole thing about mandates and take the vaccine or not, wear a mask, whatever they were trying to put out, I felt that a more appropriate response for the government was to offer a series of options that people could choose from for what works for their communities, right?
Okay, what would that look like?
So you have options for masking, for vaccines, for screenings. Like when people come to a space, you can screen people for temperatures, for contact tracing, right? All of the options that are out there. And the main option was to educate people about our own body's ability to fix itself when we eat right, sleep, and exercise. Nobody ever talked about the reality of our habits was what's killing us during the pandemic, because it was a major attack on our immune systems, right? But the solution, and some people didn't get sicker than others. I'm kind of midway. I got a little sicker than most, but, I think no one ever talked about eat right, get enough sleep. But it made us slow down, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It made us have to check out some things. So I would have provided an array of options for units, for governmental units to choose from, be it a school board, a county, a city, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I don't think mandates don't work. The irony of this whole biggest dilemma, the biggest irony of this dilemma, though, is that the people who were screaming, you can't be in my business and require me to get a vaccine. You can't require me to do things with my body. You don't have that right to tell me what I can and shouldn't do with my body, right? Mirrors the argument we've been making all this time about women's reproductive autonomy.
Yep.
That was amazing to me. But then they still don't get it, because then they pass these egregious abortion bills. We got the worst abortion bills in the nation. And if Oklahoma women don't step up and realize what that means, anybody, any woman who is subject to sexual assault, and we know that's real in Oklahoma, who's raped, impregnated, cannot get an abortion, will be forced to have a child, because they're going to put the doctors in prison if they perform the abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another question I wanted to ask you is there's a lot of controversial bills coming out.
Guess what?
The last weeks or so, even
it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
They have a super majority. They have a super majority. They can do anything they want.
Right, but a super majority doesn't mean. So I guess let's assume that they think they're doing right by everybody. Let's assume they're not just trying to just be evil. Let's just say that they
really
took the oath.
believe.
Let's just assume that. I don't know. But what do we do? What do you do as governor for us to address these current laws that you obviously feel are egregious and an attack on underrepresented, underserved people?
You offer alternatives and then have the conversation. The governor gets to put forward a work program which has a budget and which has a series of legislative proposals that are consistent with the platform that the governor ran on. You offer those, you put them in your work package, and that becomes the game plan between what I want and what they want, right? And you give a little and you take a little. But in the middle, you have these conversations that right now they don't have to listen to, right? With a Democrat in the seat, in an overwhelming Republican legislature, they at least have to get some pushback. Then the public gets to hear the dilemma that we're debating, right? Then I expect the public to call their legislators and give them their what for, right? And that's how we'll figure out solutions that work for everyone. Because my main thing, and I've said this ever since Senator Treat and I were colleagues together, and he's now the pro tem, he's my son's age. He's the author of this egregious bill, and he's the author of the bill about the vouchers, the public school money going to vouchers. And I've always said to him, what about age-appropriate, scientific-based sex education as a way to reduce the need for abortion? What about providing readily accessible contraception for women? So really, what it gets back to, and I'm not trying to paint them any kind of way, I just know what my experience has been. Women in Oklahoma are regarded as being in a box. Women in Oklahoma were the property of the husband until the 2000s. That law got repealed in 2000 something. So in that regard, women who step outside that box, who get pregnant, who might run away from home, who may be sexually abused, who may be domestically violated. There's like 5 reasons Dr. Susan Sharp identified why women go to prison in Oklahoma more than they do anywhere else. And those are the realities of the box. So when people step outside those boxes and getting pregnant and trying to have an abortion, that's all outside of the box. That takes away control that has been traditional in this state over women and their bodies. It's just the way it is. It doesn't make it right. Racism, the #1 bill here, it's just the way it is. We grew up this way. We know this. We know, don't you?
Well, no, Senate
Exactly.
Bill #1, I know it, yeah.
But what you've lived in your lifetime.
I've experienced, yes.
Thank you very much.
I've had experiences.
Exactly. It's the foundation of this state. It doesn't make it right. It just is what it is. And guess who was in charge when we did that? The state was Democrat up until 2010. So the Democrats were in charge when we passed Senate Bill 1.
Yeah.
It's foundational.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So you got to tell me your differences between you have another female that you're running against in the primary.
I'm not running against her.
I love the way you frame that
I'm
already. I love the way you frame that.
I'm running for
But we have to
governor.
get past her, and she was a Republican.
She is a Republican.
Talk about it.
This is an interesting turn of events in the Democratic Party.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and say it because everybody knows it, and we can not talk about it, but it needs to be shouted from the rooftops. Democratic Party leadership recruited her to run against me, to change parties, and now ask Democrats to vote for a Republican in the Democratic primary. Democratic leaders would have us have 2 Republicans in the race in November. And that kind of shenanigan, this whole thing about, well, she doesn't have any money, she can't win. This is a paradigm shift. This is a non-traditional campaign because this is a non-traditional set of circumstances we have going on here. Mm-hmm. What's going on in Oklahoma is we're the #1 original and only red state. We got the worst education, poor health care, all kinds of disease. We're the top 10 in everything bad, right? This is a crucial moment in Oklahoma. And we have the opportunity to be real about values that take it back to the people. So and what does she stand for? I mean, maybe you'll get to have her on.
I think she might. I don't know. I think she may come on. She gets the invitation. She gets the invitation.
I just want to know, because if she's trying to be my governor too,
yes.
Where are you on the death penalty? That's #1. I spent my entire career advocating against the death penalty under any circumstances. And even though my brother was killed, I didn't want the death penalty for the guy who killed my brother. I learned to forgive him. She's okay, as I understand it. It's what she said, her words, not mine. She's okay with the death penalty as long as we get it right. Now, I don't know if that means as long as we stop having so many wrongful convictions, or if that means we stop botching executions. All she said is as long as we get it right, right? Where is she on women's reproductive autonomy? We know where she is on education, but even with education, hell, we 47th in the nation under her leadership. What does she even say about roads and bridges and infrastructure and jobs? Well, a lot of what she's been saying recently, is on my webpage. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what we wanted. We wanted to know the difference between.
The difference is I'm a Democrat. I've been a Democrat for 56 years. I organized a team, the East Side Teen Democrats Club, when I was 13 years old, under the tutelage of some mighty women, black women Democrats, my mother and Mrs. Nettie Jackson. And, I got active in college. I worked on the 18-year-old right to vote as a sophomore at Penn. I worked on a representatives campaign, came back to Oklahoma, did my family, went to work for the Senate. So I have 33 years of real experience in every issue from birth to death, not just education. Mm-hmm. That's a huge difference. And you see, we sit here and we talk about at least 2 or 3 things that we've done in the past. I get people walking up to me and say, you did this, and that, and it's something like, really? She says, yeah. I say, okay, well, good. I have no idea what they're talking about, but I always viewed my job as to help people. If I had whatever it took, if I had it, it didn't cost me anything to help people. And it has paid me back many times over. So this campaign is not about me. As blessed as I've been, I do get it. It is so not about me. It is about the people of Oklahoma and the leadership that can show them, look, this is how it can work. It used to work. We can get back to that. We just need experienced, visionary, wise leaders who are not corrupt, who are not taking payoffs, who are really there for the people. That's the difference.
The thing about I want people to know is that I've had conversations with you with no cameras and nobody around, and it's just like this.
Is it?
It's just like this. It is.
I get
It's just
tired of
like
hearing
this.
myself
It's
sometimes.
just like this. Yeah, right. So much for us to learn from you, and I'm going to give you your shot right here.
Okay.
The people of Oklahoma are right there. That's your people. That's your thing. Tell them how they can support your campaign, how they can get behind you, whatever it is you need them to know. They're your people. That's your time.
Howdy, y'all. So I'm Connie Johnson, and I intend to be your next governor. You can help me. You can vote. You can take steps to guarantee your vote by visiting okvotebymail.com and applying to vote by mail. Just apply. You get the ballot 30 days ahead of time. You can confirm that your voting records are correct. You can use it or not use it. Just sign up, right? Our next issue is voting is the key. Out of all of the systems that are in play right now, we've got the legislative system, we've got the political system, and the electoral system. And we have a role to play in each one of those. Check out our information at govconnie.com, where you'll get more insight into my 33 years plus of experience actually working on the issues in ways that have made a difference in the lives of Oklahomans. govconnie.com. Our mailing address is Connie Johnson for Governor 2022 with an exclamation point. P.O. Box 2001, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73101. And again, the webpage is govconnie.com. Follow us on social media, Connie Johnson for Governor 2022. And first and foremost, let's go together. Thank you.
That's really, really good. So I got just a personal question. They can listen in if you want to, but you've been doing this a long time. I've been in public service a long time. Give me a tip. Give me what do I need? What's the key to faithful service to others?
Knowing yourself. Knowing that, I know you're spiritual and you've been put on a path, and it's acknowledging that path, believing it. And if it's about service, you don't have a choice.
It feels like that.
You see, you still here, right?
Yes.
For what I ran 2 times and lost, and then the third time, and now I've run 2 times, so this is going to be the 3rd time, right? But I still wake up every day believing that I still have a purpose to fulfill, and it's never good enough for me. I have that imposter syndrome that literally everything I've ever done is still not good enough. There's something else I can do. I know there is, and that's be governor of Oklahoma.
Oh, I love it. Thanks so much for being around, and thanks for being in my ear from time to time about anything and everything. I appreciate it. I really do.
Even when I'm tapping that hiney on Bid Wiz.
We got some Bid Wiz games.
If
you make governor, then
we got to have party at the mansion.
Okay,
party at the mansion, around the pool, watermelon, everything.
That's right. That's it for Conversation with Cupid. Next week we'll be back, same time. I don't know if we'll be in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. You never know with Green Pasture Studio. Thank you so much and have a great night.